Record. All right. So my analysis for GJ may be changing for now. So based on the daily, you see we have the swing high up here. We have this breakup structure here. And this is where I said I went wrong on my analysis because if this is the swing low, and I just need, let me take this off right quick. And oh no, that's right. Take this off. If that's the swing low and this is our swing high and this is our breakup structure, when we were looking for the pullback to happen here, especially when it filled in, it had already filled in right here, and didn't go up, we definitely should have been looking for the sell. It is at a key level. Um, it had already broken this because remember, this was our last break of structure. This was our last swing high. So price had already broken or or change gave a market structure shift on this swing high. That makes sense. And then price came to this key level. Now, once price came to this key level, we should have been looking for price to buy instead of from the middle from this zone here. And with that being said, because last on Friday was such a impulsive move, my guess is, although I need to see it close below this low, my guess is price may start selling back down to either this daily demand zone or this daily demand zone. But I need to see a shift in structure. So I need to see price close below here, pull back for the sell. If I don't get a close below there, then my thought process is price is going to um, maybe sweep this low. And I'm trying to see, did it sweep it? Yep, it already swept it, right? So now let's go down to the 4 hour. So it swept this low. Now let's go down to the 4 hour. There's no shift in structure yet. There's no structure change. Let's go to the 1 hour. Um, there's still, if I look at the last piece of structure, we have this low here, this high here, and then this is the low. And you can see it. Oops. You will be able to see it on at least the 15-minute. So for me, this was the break of structure, right? And this is the current swing high. And this is my current swing low. Okay, so I would like to see it break above this high before I consider going in for a buy. Now, this might buy up. It might buy up to this zone here and pull back, or there's a um, supply zone here to pull back. So I'm just going to wait for price to show me what it's going to do. So like I said, it can pull here and push back down some more. And then if I see the close below this, then once price again shows me some kind of structure. So if it decides to push up here and then push back down, then this will be the structure that I would be looking to break and get in on the pullback to go back up to this zone. And I'm gonna go to the daily so I can see. Yeah, to go back up to this order block to then possibly sell some more. So I just need confirmation of a candle close below this zone.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then for GU, um, and I mentioned this on the call with Todd, and I also mentioned it on the call with the beginners. Um, this was our last break of structure here to the downside. As we can see, there's nothing else over there, right? This was our swing high. I think it was this high. I think there might be a little something before that. I mean, after that. So if I had fib that move from here to here, we tapped into a, let me just do it from here. We tapped into a supply zone or a 78. You see it's between our 78 and 88. So we should have been looking for a sell based on higher time frame structure. Christina, do you get that? You understand that?
I do.
Okay. So um we definitely should have been looking for a sell from here. And now that we have this shift in structure, okay, let's go down to the daily. Now that we have this shift in structure, we'll probably get a pullback either where this key level, these levels of support may now turn into resistance. So price can either come here to sell or come to one of our supply zones, which is here and or here to sell. So with that being said, let's go to the 4 hour.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
On the daily, because I was watching the video Todd had posted in the beginners for GU.
Mm-hmm.
On the daily, you consider that I guess change your character or market structure shift, even though it didn't wick.
This one right here.
Okay. I was
Yeah,
thinking of that
this
second one because
no
Todd
no no
was
no
like,
no.
no, Kim's not gonna say that one's one, but he was calling
No,
it.
no, no, no. This right here is a shift to me because
Okay.
yeah. So, um, so once we had, oops, that's not what I meant to do. So once we've had this push down, this push up, this push down, and then this push up, and then market broke. He was saying that this was the shift for him because
Okay.
he uses, a shift below the body and not the wick. So his shift happened here versus I'm waiting for price to break here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference between us. So now that, but I definitely should, not saying that I shouldn't have been looking for a buy because it was still bullish, right? And we still had a order block right here, although this was a little weird order block. Um, But because we were in this zone, and I was thinking we were going to catch a buy up to the 88 to the top of this, and then possible sell, or a buy to give us a double top and then possibly sell. Um, but yeah, but it pulled back and then decided to sell. So, um, but once we were in the zone, I probably would have said, trail everything, be careful. Like I wasn't even paying attention and I know I went over that we were in the 78 or 88, but I think I erased that chart and somehow um forgot where I was. So yeah, so now that this is the market structure shift for me, um everything in from this low to the highest point is fair game for a sell. And if I go, I'm back on the daily. I'm back on the daily. So now I'm gonna be looking for, because this is higher time frame. This was the break, higher time frame break of structure. So now I will be looking for price to pull back to um this zone here. And this is on a daily, of course, because of this was the impulse move. So I'm looking for price to pull back. Now we may get a pullback, like I said, a pullback to either this key level, which is a level, as we can see, we're on the daily. We have this strong level of support and resistance. Um, so this could just be a break and then a retest back to this zone to then sell back down to here. So either way, um, let's say if it's from here and um, let's say if it's from here, we're talking about 444 pips, which is definitely more than enough. If it pulls back to here, we're talking 590 pips. And then if it pulls all the way back, and I think because it's bullish, it may not pull all the way back. Because if we pull down, if we, because now we're in this higher time frame swing right now. So we have to take it one step at a time. So now we're in this higher time frame swing. We're looking for price to pull back to a discounted area from here to here. Okay. So now one of the discounted areas, like I said, it might come here and then it might bounce back up and then it might push back down. But this zone is in a discounted area. The 50% 618, which is the golden zone. And as a reminder, I don't like trading the golden zone the same the same way we were just trying to trade the middle or the that golden zone on the GJ. Um, like I said, you could probably get a nice buy in. How far the buy may go, I don't know. But you can definitely likely get a pullback from this zone. If it's going to keep selling, I would be looking for price to pull back to the 78 or the 88 to then start buying back up to these highs. Now, if price is going to keep selling, right? If price is going to keep selling because we're in this swing right here and sell to these lows or somewhere here, I would be looking for um oh, here it goes right here. Um so on with the I would be looking for it to sell down to here. That's my thought. That's my thought. So I would definitely be expecting price to sell here, pull back, maybe sell to here, maybe pull back, and then sell to here, and then take off. Take off up to here. I told the newbie group, and Christina, you were on there. If it did not buy from this zone right here, that I was gonna fund somebody's account, that I was gonna fund an account. Matter of fact, I'm expecting it to go up here. Not even right here, up to here. And the reason why I say that because it has completed a market maker cycle. So we have three pushes. So now I'm expecting price to at least, like I said, buy up to this high, break the high, pull back, and then keep buying. And maybe that it don't maybe it'll break this and then pull back to this zone, but um that's those are my thoughts. This is a level. Adrian, remember how on GJ I kept saying it was going to buy from that zone? If we had just stayed in it, if we had just stayed in it from where did I say? If we had just stayed in it.
Yeah, I erased my chart.
Yeah, and I got to stop doing that because
Me too.
I forgot where it was. Oh no, it was right here. It
Yeah.
was here. Let me go to the daily. And I kept and me and Andrew was going back and forth fighting. I said, Andrew, it's gonna come here and it's going to buy up. Imagine had we still been in this trade from here. That is what's gonna happen on GU.
We'll just set our alerts.
Yep. So um and because it completed a cycle, it had push one, this was push two. This came back to the demand zone of push two and went up. So now I'm expecting at least for price to pull. I don't know what's going to happen here. Maybe it'll give us a double bottom and then push up some more before pulling back to these zones. Because based on the market maker cycle, I think this was one, this was two. Wait a minute. I think there was another one. Let me go to the 4 hour. Um, this was the high. So this is one push. Okay. Yeah, one, two, and this was three. Okay, so that's one. Um, mm, mm, three, that's two, and then there's one, one. I think this might be two. Yeah, so I don't know what is going to happen, but the way that this dropped, this impulsive move, I mean, we can get a impulsive move to the top, but I would be careful because on that impulsive move, and let me move this, you have this um imbalance here. You have this imbalance here, this imbalance here. So I just need to see if price is going to close below. That will tell me what I want to do or what I need to do. So if it pulls up here and then sells, where I said from here, um, and get a close below, then I know I can at least buy it up to this supply zone and then look for the sell. So that's my thought on GJ. Um, on gold, gold left the building. It hit this little demand zone and left the building.
Yeah.
And I'm not even in it. So
Yeah. I marked it up. It's actually in like it's consolidating to me on the
this
daily.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
It's,
yeah, it is consolidating. Um, because technically, um, this was the last break of structure here. This went up, broke structure here, here, and then it went up, pulled back, and then broke structure again. So this is the swing high. The only thing about this is price broke structure here at this swing high. So once it broke structure, my thought process was this was the demand zone. And once it broke structure, pulled back, did not close below here, and then broke these internal structures again. My thought is it's going to keep going higher. Only all because of this right here. It did this here. So technically it should have either swept or it was going to either sweep or come up to one of these zones and sell, but because it broke structure, this is my thought, it's going to keep buying. And looking at it from this daily, or even if I go to a higher time frame, this was really, I think on the weekly, you can see it more clear. Well, no, on the daily. You can see it a little clearly that there was no significant pullback. So this was pretty much a break of this zone here and then a retest. So it broke out and then it retested this zone and then broke structure um, on this last swing high. So my guess is going to keep buying. And yes, there is a supply zone here, but it's really not a supply zone because it didn't break below this low. That makes sense. So if it had broken below this low, closed below this low, then this would have been my supply zone. But because it didn't, I think it's just going to keep buying. And I think there was some news about gold that came out last week. I'm not sure, but that's the current. It broke this high right here. So I would be looking for price to come back to somewhere to this demand zone to keep buying. And here's another zone it may come back to. This imbalance is huge. So um I would be looking for, and I think gold respects imbalances more than they do um order blocks or demand zones or supplier demand zones. So I would definitely set a limit, an alert, um, to one of these zones, to both of these zones, or at least this zone, and then watch to see if it's going to pull back. Maybe it'll pull back here, and then shift structure to keep buying. That's my thoughts on, because I honestly thought it was going to come here and sell back down to this zone, but now that it has shifted structure, um, I would be looking for buys. And then that's all I have unless somebody's trading anything else.
Nope, that's what I have, Kim. I have it pulling back to that break of structure.
This one here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it may not pull back until maybe up here where I have this alert.
Mm-hmm.
It may start pulling back from there. So, because this will be one push, this will be two push. I mean, it would be nice if it came all the way back here. But like I said, I know gold doesn't normally come back all the way back to um
The institutional candle.
hmm I mean it did right here. Once it broke this 1 hour swing high, it did right here
Mm-hmm.
and then left the building.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely set an alert here um and then watch, and it may just come in between the two
Yeah.
and then start shifting structure for the buy. Mm-hmm. Yep. Christina, you have any questions? I know you're getting, both my thoughts and Todd's thoughts.
For GU,
GU.
I got the same, I had the same setup as you as far as my swing high and kind of where to look.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of excited because I was like, I finally get it.
You get it?
The overall picture as far as like,
The
um,
seven, the 88 over here, 78
yeah,
over here.
and that demand zone you have at the very bottom, like understanding that at one point it will pull back to that, even
Yeah.
though, you know, but I'm not used to looking at the weekly. I have a habit of just doing the daily.
And you can do the daily, but I can't on the daily, it's not showing me. Well, I guess it is, but I would have to keep moving it over and over and over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's when I just go up to the weekly, just so that I can see the full picture. So really, I'm just going up to see the full picture. If I could see this whole thing on the daily, then I wouldn't need to go to the weekly because this swing high, this break of structure, and this swing low is going to be the same.
Okay, that makes sense. Just to be able to
Mhm.
see it without having to scroll back and forth constantly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so technically with this being the 78.88, price technically should go down to this low right here,
Hmm.
right? But because I know about the market maker cycle, I know that we've already made three pushes on this higher time frame, right?
Hmm.
And I know you probably don't know about the market maker cycle, um what that is once I get three higher time, and even on the lower time frames, once I get three pushes, meaning mm, meaning from here, this is one push
Hmm.
because we broke structure here. So this is the first push. It pulled back and then it broke structure again. This is the second push. And then it pulled back. And I think on here on the weekly, I think that was just on the weekly. We're gonna just go ahead. It went a third push and then it went another push here. Sometimes it will go four, but I have at least three pushes from this higher time frame. So now I know now it is time based off the market maker cycle. It's time for price to reset itself, meaning give a full pullback at least to um so once this happened, and like I said, I'm looking for it to come back to the 78 or 88, sell back down. But normally, like I said, normally we would be looking for it to sell to this low, for instance. So once we got this pullback, I knew it was going to sell to this low. And this was the swing low. Because you know I say trade from the highs and the lows. This was the swing low. This was the swing high. And so once price pulled back and and it did not give a premium pullback, meaning it didn't pull back to the 50, 60, 70, or 80. It pulled back to the 38, but then it shifted structure, right? So if once it shifted structure, we knew it was going to get a pullback to this little weekly zone here. As long as it did not break above this high right here, and it looked like it did. But it then started selling back down to these lows. So, or wait a minute, I see what I can see it now. Let me, I'm going to close that and close that. So price pulled back to this. You see right here, there's a supply zone here. There's a supply zone here, and then these supply zone here. So you can mark up your zones. You can mark up your supply and demand zones on these higher time frames for price to pull back to. So, and on this supply zone, it tapped it once. came back and tapped it again, and then shifted structure, right? As long as it didn't break, um, as long as it did not break above this supply zone, or if price was going to, as you can see, it went up, it pulled back, it went up, broke structure, pulled back, went up, broke structure, and then shifted structure. Then you had this little pullback, and then you had this push down. And right there at this order block, you either could have caught, so there's a supply zone here. Um, oops. Now I probably would have missed that one because it did not pull all the way back. And actually, I would have wanted it to pull back here because I want to pull back to the highest point to then sell. So the only place I would have said you can get into this push down, broke structure would have been this next one. So every time you get a break of structure, just look for a green candle to mark up on the downside. And then price, once this broke, it pulled back into that zone and then sold. So if you ever are trying to get in a trade, and then you can always take it to the next low. You see, this would have looked like a shift in structure for a buy, but it didn't. It turned around and um, once it broke here, you had this break. Price never pulled back to that zone. So this would have been the next zone. And that's where price would have pulled back to continue selling.
Now on the higher time frame, like you're on the weekly now,
Uh-huh.
up those supplier demand zones, then you're going down down the time frames to
Mm-hmm.
get that entry for
Mm-hmm.
those zones that are marked up, and you would take that buy or sell down to what you have marked up on your weekly or daily.
To the next lows.
Okay.
So here's a low here. So there was a low there. It came, it pushed up. It came to this low, it pushed up. And then once you got you had the break of this low and price was pulling back. There was Now, of course, I want price to come all the way back up here. So when I look at this demand zone, like it's already filled, like price has already mitigated that. The next one, price is already tapped into that one. So the next one, price is tapped into it, but I like to see candles come into it. The next one would have been this one here, and um, price broke through, closed below. Once it closed below right here, right? And price never pulled back into this one yet. So that would have been an option to look for price to then sell down to um the next low, this low. Because we know that we're going bearish right now. So this was the bear, this was the shift in structure. It didn't pull back to an optimal trade and entry, but I have the 23 and the 23.6 and the 38.2 on here for a reason. So um and then price. So Pat, you can always sell down to the negative 27. And then the next is the negative 618. Now, this could sell down to the negative 618. It very well could. Um, but I do believe because of this higher time frame demand zone, um, that price is going to tap here and at least buy back up to this high at the least. And I haven't taught y'all key levels yet, but this is definitely a key level. And what that means is you're familiar with levels of support and resistance, right?
Yes.
Yep. So you have a key level here, and then you have this key level down here. But the key level that I just marked up is in alignment with this demand zone right here. So once price pushed down, gave us that swing, that's a key level. Like this was a level of support, a level of support. It broke through, price pushed up, has yet to come back and provide a level of resistance. So this right here is definitely a level that I expect price to push up to this high. And then what happens after that, I don't know. And as you can see, I fibbed this move. This was the well, this right here, this last move right here. So this right here could come back to here first and then push up because this is the 78.88 of this last move up and then push up to this high and then pull back. So I'm definitely looking for, let me see. This is one push, two push, and this is three push. So I'm definitely looking for price to, I'm hoping price comes back here first and then allows us to get a move in from there. But because we're at the 78.88, like anything can happen. All I know is we should be looking for sales at least down to here. That's my current thought on what we're trading now. Looking for sales, a pullback to then sell at least to this 78. That's a 1200 pip move. And if it goes farther, because as you can see, there's no real demand zone in here. There's no order block. There's no, I mean, yeah, there's a little imbalance. There's an order block here. Um, there is an order block, but as you can see, that's been mitigated by this candle. So, so I would not set a limit from here, but I would definitely set a limit once it came back to here. So I would just, be ready to trade this down. Prepare to trade this down. And as I'm looking at it on the weekly, there's a weekly order block here. So this level of support may now turn into resistance for a sell. We shall see.
I had a question, but I think I answered it in my
Okay.
head. Just to make sure, you fibbed the last swing based off it being bullish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't losing my mind.
Yep. Wait a minute, this swing or this one, the big one?
The big one.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. So once price broke this structure, this was the low and this was the high. And then you have these internal ones in between. Yep.
I just wanted to make sure. So we're looking for it to possibly go as far down as that 78.
Yep.
Okay.
Um, Now, of course, we know that price can come anywhere between the 50%. This is the discounted area.
Hmm.
And there is a impulse move, an imbalance, order block, imbalance, and all that in here. So it could come to this zone, and I think it probably will come and react, but I don't think it's going to shift, make a shift in structure. So that's what I would be looking for if once it did pull back into here. So if it pushed back into here, into this imbalance and made a shift in structure, then I would look to buy it maybe up to here, because then this could possibly be the next move down, and then the next move down to the 78 before we get the next shift to buy it up to here. So we just have to look, we just have to take it from one zone to the next zone. And as you can see, this is definitely a key level right here. What was resistance? Resistance turned into support, and then it broke through. So I'm definitely expecting price to pull back somewhere here, even if it pulls here. Um, uh, um, and I'm debating if I'm going to teach you all how to do support resistance. Trade support and resistance is really based off market structure as well. Because if price comes here, you want to see a shift in structure. If price pulled up here and you saw a shift in structure, you just trade from that zone. You mark up that zone, you cover that zone or a high at that zone, and then trade it to the next zone.
I think you can teach it. It's only like six of us.
Okay.
It's not a lot.
Uh, if I could just get market structure, if I can get everybody on market structure.
I think
Um,
with market structure, it's just it's a swing high until it's broken, but then depending on what you're marking it up on, like for me, I'm tempted to do all the internal ones, but it's like, I can go down on a smaller time frame to see those. I don't
yeah.
have to mark it. I just need to mark, the swing high and swing low.
Mark, so and I'm going to erase this right here. So what you want to do is mark the swing highs and swing lows on the higher time frame first.
Okay.
Okay. So for instance, and I'm just going to mark the highs. So right here is a high point. And let me do this one. Okay, right here is a high point, right? And then your next high point is right here. So once you get the high points, once you identify your last high point on the higher time frame, and yes, you have this and this, but you need for price to, you need for this leg to break through this high. And then you can identify your low on the higher time frame. And then you can go in to identify your internal moves. So from here, 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 and here. So that's really all you have to do. Identify the higher time frame, breaks of structure. And because we're bullish, you want the highs. You want the highs, breaks of structure. And then you can identify your internal swings. And then once you identify your internal swing, right? You just mark up your last swing and then you just trade from there. So once price and when you trade and when I say trade your edges, you're going to trade from the swing low or you're going to trade from the swing high. So once price, you have an order block up here, you wait for price to come back into this zone. And if it shifts structure, then you trade from this zone back down to the next zone. And now now that price has broken structure, I would love for price to come back up here into this supply zone. I would love for price to come here. But because price is overall bullish, that might not happen, right? Again, it might just come to this break and retest of this zone and start selling. So currently, this is your low. So if price pulled back, shifted structure, you can at least sell it down to your low. That's 227 pips. And the reason why I say take it to the low, because price could come here, create a double bottom, and then start buying back up to here, and then sell. So you want to, when you mark up your lows and your highs, like even this was marked up for my zone, and then it broke. Again, from this swing to this high is all fair game because this is now the high, this is now the swing low, and this is now the break of structure or shift in structure. So this could definitely come up here, pull back to here. This could consolidate for 20 weeks and then break. So you want to wait for price to show you what it's going to do based off of market structure. So if it pulls up here, shift structure, and then starts coming back, like playing in that zone. Then am I in replay? No, I'm not in replay. Okay. Um, yeah, this would be the zone that I would look to sell from. Because if it keeps coming back here without coming all the way up here to this supply zone here or this supply zone here, 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to sell. And it's just getting in buyers and sellers. And then it's going to take out one of the two. So, but I do know, was it GJ? GJ. Which one had it was GU. It was Was it? Hold on. Was it US 30? No. Oh, it was gold, I think. Hold on. One of them had a, oh, this one here. This is it right here. So usually this was GJ. So on GJ, on the 4 hour, so we were expecting price to pull back from here, right? Price did pull back, but it didn't break any highs or lows. So technically, this was the break or shift in structure right here. And I'm kicking myself for not seeing this when I didn't see it. And then this right here was the 78, right? That was a gap in price that price pulled back to and sold off like crazy. So I used to always say I wait, and that's why I wait for a break, right? Because I like to wait for the second leg. If I My brain sees M's and W's. So if I'm seeing technically this was a shift in structure. They're right here. The one that we was looking for price to come to and buy from, right? Well, there was a shift in structure here, but then now there's a shift in structure here. So internal structure. Let me say that. So now this was an M to me. That's all I'm trying to say. This was an M. This is a break, a pullback, and then that was an M to me. And then now I'll be looking for a W. And I'll probably look for the W. See this little demand zone right here? I'll probably look for a little W, maybe a break, and then push up. That's the W, a pullback, and then a buy back up to here. Don't confuse yourself with that, okay? I'm just telling you my thoughts out loud. But there was a shift in structure here. And this was the 78 of that shift in structure. That's my point. So, with that being said, any other questions?
No, no other questions. I need to practice now.
Always start on your high time frame. Start on your daily. If you don't see it on the daily, go to your weekly. And based on the weekly, I already know that and matter of fact, I'm gonna do it right now, and I promise not to delete it. Hold on, let me get my magnet. Okay, so I am going to mark up my 78 and 88 right here. All right. And because, as you can see, this was the shift in structure or break of structure. This is the low. So I'm looking for price to come here and sell down, right? All right. So now, based off of that, oh, hold on. Let me do this again. Let me do this again. Let me clear it. So based off of that, once I look at my overall structure, identify my structure. Okay. I know where I'm going. We know price is going here. How long it's going to take is not for us to figure out. Okay. And now I look at my current structure, my last current structure. So based off of this, I see here a pullback and this buy up here, right? That's my last little bit of structure. And it's not little, but price came back, pulled into this demand zone. And this is how I do a top-down analysis. And so now I'm looking for price to go higher. Okay. So now I'm going to go down to my daily. And based on the daily, price pushed up, price broke structure here, broke this high, and then price pulled back and then broke this high. Price pulled back to this demand zone. So now this was our last break of structure to the downside. This was our shift in structure to the top side. So now I'm looking for the last shift, the last level of structure, which is right here. So price has either got to close below this low. This is the swing low. This is the swing high. Oops. And technically, this is now the swing high because it went up further. Okay, so that's your swing high. Right? Oops. Swing high. And this is our swing low. Now, because we got this impulsive move, I'm not afraid of the impulsive move. It may or may not close below this low. So we're going to go down to the 1 hour. It might have swept that low, but is it going to keep buying up or is it going to pull back and break this low with the closed candle? If it breaks this low with the closed candle, I would be looking for price to pull back into somewhere in this zone. Somewhere in this zone. Give me some kind of structure to then start buying it back up to this, either that supply zone or is there another one in here? So this would have been the last swing up. So I would be looking for price to come back into this zone somewhere and start selling back down to this low. Because this low, if it closes below here, this low has already been mitigated. So now, or you can just do this low that's here. Sell it back down to this low. And then if it breaks below that, then you can get in on a buy back up to then sell it back down to. So if it breaks below here and then starts, and maybe it might sell all the way down to here, this imbalance here. And then we'll look for a pullback and then another sell because I am looking to buy GJ from this low here, from this demand zone here. So from once price shifted structure, This was our last low. This is currently the last high. So I would want to see price pull back to this zone near this 78 to then continue buying. If it breaks this low, like that is all contingent on this low getting broken. A pullback to sell to the next low, and then a pullback to sell to this low, and then looking for buys up to this high. That makes sense? Like you want the market to show you exactly what it's going to do before you before you make the assumption that price is going to continue buying or selling. You want to see the shift in structure. Because this could buy all the way back up and break this high, no matter what this says right here. And I'm trying to see if I can find an example. If I can find an example. Here's one right here. You see how this bought up? Gave us that strong bearish order block. Tapped into this demand zone and bought all the way back up and broke past it. So you have to trade according to what the market is giving you. And this impulse move to the downside would make people think that price is going to continue selling, right? But here is the break of structure. Here is the swing low. Price pulled back into a demand zone and kept moving, kept pushing up. It pushed up for 600 pips, 1600 pips. So don't ever be afraid that you see these impulse moves because we're in a bullish market. It gave this impulse move to pull back to a zone. And now we just have to wait and see what it's going to give us. I would love to see a close below here. But until then, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, it can pull up in here and then sell. So that's my thoughts on GJ. But yeah, just practice your market structure. If you want to drop, I know we have the other group, but if you want to drop your structure charts in here, you can do that.
Okay. And just so I know I'm understanding it right, I'm just going to the higher time frame to
Mm-hmm.
mark those swing high and lows
Mm-hmm.
and the break of structure. And then I'm dropping down to the lower time frame to identify those internal moves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then with inside that lower time frame is where I'm marking up that last swing, or is that in the higher time frame?
You can mark up the last swing within, like once you go down, once you're at the daily or the weekly, whichever one you can see your full chart,
Mm.
right? You mark up the higher time frame, break a structure, swing high, swing low. Then you go down to your 4 hour or your 1 hour, which one you can see, whichever one you can see the structure best. Um, and then you mark up the internals.
Okay.
And then once you mark up the internals, so for here, you have this push up, this pull back, this push up, this pull back, this push up, this pull back, this push up, pull back, and this push up. So once you have your internals, because you see price didn't break here until right here.
Mhm.
So that full move is the push up. Once you have your internals, then you again then identify your swing low, swing high, and your breakup structure.
Okay.
And then you can decide if you have a demand zone, if it's bullish and you have a demand zone in your near your swing low, you mark up your demand zone or your order block or whatever, and then you buy it. You can buy it up to this high or just take it. Um, you can fib the last move, take it to the negative 27. And then once you get a shift in your structure, this was a shift. And I know Todd would say this is the shift, but this is the internal, these are internal moves. But price never broke above there, so I don't consider that part of the swing. Um, but once you got your shift in structure, price pulled back, and although it went a little above your zone, but it then turned around and sold.
Okay.
So yes, higher time frame structure. Go to
Okay.
the 4 hour, 1 hour, identify your internal moves within that higher time frame structure. Mark up your last swing high, swing low, and then trade accordingly. Like I say, if you see a supply or demand zone, mark it up based on um, market structure. So if it's bullish, you look for a demand zone and you look to sell, I mean, you look to buy more. If it's bearish, then you look for your supply zone and then you look to sell.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. All right, y'all.
Have a good night.
Good
Thank you
night.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye.